Welcome to In the Hot Seat with WRP, where our mission is to engage entrepreneurial thinking through engaging conversation. Today we have a phenomenal guest. She is making moves out here. She is a native. She is just phenomenal. I'm not going to tell her story. With no further ado, I'd like to introduce to you Labrescia, also known as Breezy Dawson. How you doing, Breezy?
I'm wonderful. And yourself? Thank you for having me today.
Not a problem, not a problem. Tell the audience and listeners about yourself. Where you from? Were you born with a big house, white picket fence, from wealthy parents, or just tell us about yourself?
No, I'm actually from Atlanta, Georgia. I am a Grady baby. I actually grew up here in Northwest Atlanta, right down the street, Hollywood Road. So no white picket fence, nothing that you would think how I got to where I am today. So it was just grit, hard work. So I'm from Atlanta, West Fulton High School. So no picket fence, just pulled myself up by the bootstraps, and here we are today.
Wow. Grady baby.
Uh-huh.
Man, shoot. Yeah, if you're a Grady baby, you're from Atlanta.
That's right.
Okay. So tell the audience, the listeners, how did you get involved in real estate?
So basically, I was, at the time, I was selling cars. I was working at Gwinnett Place Ford in Duluth, Georgia. I actually started out in the customer service department, and there was a gentleman there, a manager. He saw something in me. He told me that you should try selling cars. So I tried it. I did try to sell cars, and I did it for like a year. So a customer comes in one day and asks me, well, what are you doing working here? And I'm like, what do you mean by that? He was like, you're going to be just like them who? And he thought car salesmen were sleazy, even though he was there to buy a car. Once he told me that, it bothered me, and I did not want to be associated with something with that. Doesn't mean that they're sleazy, it's just his perception of it, and I did not want any part of that. So that seed was posited, and then another gentleman walks in and said that his wife did real estate and I should try real estate. So I went to real estate school. For 3 years, I was an agent. As soon as I could become a broker, I got my broker's license, and that was in 2006. And here we are today. I've been on my own since then.
Wow. So you just basically did you was an agent for 3 years and soon thereafter went and got your broker's license.
I couldn't wait.
Wow. And so did you have when you got your broker's license, did you have a team working with you, or was it just?
No, I did not. It was my brother and myself. I was the lone ranger for a long time. I did not have any agents under me, but we were successful in getting one of those HUD contracts, selling the REO properties, which are bank-owned properties. REO stands for real estate owned. So when properties foreclose, if it's backed by a HUD, FHA, backing, it becomes a HUD listing, and those asset management companies look for agents like local listing brokers to manage their properties. So we were successful in getting one of those contracts. So I sold like 100 plus properties in 1 year, and that was just by myself before I even had any agents.
As a local listing broker? Mm-hmm. Just yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So I guess that in turn gave you the fire, or gave you the desire to go after bigger and better things.
Correct. So once I knew that I could do that, and I'm like, wait a minute, if I sold 100 houses by myself, who gave me these houses? Where did they get them from? And there were other agents like myself or brokers who were also getting 200 listings a year. I'm like, well, there's more. And my mind just kind of works that way. Like even when I worked at the car dealership, I didn't work there anymore as a salesman. I went and got my license to become a dealer. So I'm also a licensed dealer. The name of that is Breezy's Auto Sales. So if I see something...
So you have that right now?
Yes.
Okay.
So I don't know what that is in me. If I see something, I'm like, okay, I want to get it at the top so I don't have to, work so hard. You want to always be at the top of whatever it is that you're trying to do.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Interesting. So you're the asset management firm for USDA Rural Development.
Correct.
I know that requires a lot of strategic planning, a lot of work. How did that come about?
So basically, we took our real estate business. I didn't stop at car sales. I didn't stop at being an agent. I didn't stop at being a broker. So basically, there was an opportunity that came out. We are now government contractors, so we do have that USDA contract, but we have additional contracts too with the federal government. This particular USDA contract just happens to be something in my direct wheelhouse where we manage properties. So that opportunity came about. We responded to it, and we won it. We actually went up against 12 other bigger companies, and we still won it. So it was just a matter of, operating in excellence, believing you could do it. And all of that skill set that had been going on for 15, 20 years, managing those properties on the local level, I just took that same playbook and I maximized it with agents around the country that I had met at conferences and stuff like that. It just, God gave me the blueprint, and in my mind, it made sense. So in my mind, it's not massive like people think. It's just, to me, it makes sense.
So just so people can understand the magnitude of this contract, approximately how many properties nationwide are you managing?
Okay, so the first contract we won with the USDA, we sold about 1,600 properties for them in like a year and a half, and we did well with that. So when we won that one, it was set aside for a small business. We won that. USDA sent the properties over as an REO, so they had already foreclosed on the properties and done all of those things. Once they saw that we could handle that, we then went after the bigger contract, and now we manage their preservation, their attorney network, the foreclosures, and the appraisal network. So we have all of their verticals and under my company. And this is like, they transferred us like 4,000 properties, and it's a 10-year contract. So, and we'll get all of the stuff that continues to foreclose. It'll come through us. And there's one other asset management company. It was bigger this time, so they awarded it to 2 companies instead of just myself.
So there has to be a lot of strategic planning, I'm just looking at a map of the United States.
Yeah.
I'm sure you got certain regions, you got certain people over this region. So are you in contact with them, or you have other people?
Yes. So the way I look at it, like, you want one throat to choke. I'm a prime contractor, so you get bigger subcontractors. Your subcontractors can now manage all of those other factors for me. There's no way that I could take this and manage 2,000 agents. Between technology and large subcontractors. That's how we leverage the contract.
And you said technology. You have to have a hellified, technology program in place to
manage
do all
that.
of this.
And the system that we use is Equator.
Okay.
So Equator has been around for 20 or 30 years, and they could handle all of that, all of those moving pieces and parts. And we have an amazing team now. Like, we have asset managers, Marcia Toms. She used to work for PIMCO, so we were able to bring her on board. And it just has been amazing. Like, all the people I met along the way, I knew that I wanted to be an asset manager a long time ago, and I claimed it, and God did it. So it's just him just doing it. It's not me.
So does having this contract, do you have to travel a lot?
Yes and no, because like I travel when I'm going on vacation, but I don't necessarily have to go anywhere because I have a broker network. If there's a property in Puerto Rico, we give it to the closest agent in Puerto Rico. And Equator allows me to find that agent that's close, just the same way we used to get listings as a local listing broker. So it's the same thing.
Just on a bigger level.
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing.
Yes.
So, how has your journey been doing this? You seem like you enjoy it.
I love it because I'm just a hard worker. That has always been there. Whatever led me to selling cars, led me to real estate, led me to being my own business owner. It's all the same ingredient. And I just have to say that God put that there. And there's like no ceiling on it because you don't know what he's trying to do or get.
Exactly.
So I just kind of go like, like a little child almost. And I just continue to go with it.
So do you have like a overall company like Dawson's Management, and you have companies under Dawson's Management?
Okay, so I'm in the 8A program, and they don't allow you to have all of those different businesses. So I started out on technically Dawson's Realty and Mortgages, and I put a DBA, Dawson's Management. So when I'm going at the government contracts, I use Dawson's Management, but my legal is Dawson's Realty and Mortgages.
Okay. Now that you're this big entrepreneur, did you understand all of the ins and outs when you went into business?
No.
On the job training?
No one understands. You think you understand until you get in it. You know what I mean? I didn't go in ignorant, but there are certainly always going to be things that you're going to learn along the way. So there's so much I've learned now, like all this legal stuff, people trying to take advantage of you. Like, I don't come from that. So for me now, you have to lawyer up, and I'm like, I just want you to be, just shake my hand, but it doesn't work like that at this level.
Oh, yeah.
So that's one of the things I had to learn. Yeah.
It's almost like, you're on top and you're being hunted.
And that's unfortunate.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't want to feel like this. Just be you.
Yes, that's all I want. Fair, and I'm a very fair person, and I love what God. I know people like she always talking about God because I can't see any other way that I got here.
Yeah.
You asked me where I was from, right down the road.
Right down the
There was
road.
no white picket fence. There is no.
Yeah.
She went to Harvard, so that's why she. No, I can't think of things that could have got me to this moment except God.
And a lot of people who are not from Atlanta, they changed the name to Bankhead, to Veterans Memorial? People in Benday, Bankhead Highway, Stewart Avenue, Metropolitan, it's Stewart Avenue,
Absolutely.
so.
Yes, Church's Chicken.
Yeah,
all that. Yes.
It's amazing,
So he did it right. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. What type of challenges have you faced as a woman-owned minority company
Yeah.
running a government contract?
That it happens a lot, but you have to prepare yourself for that. Like I used to cry about stuff like that because I'm like, they don't know how hard I've worked to get to this moment. I qualify just like you qualify, but in their mind, some type of way, oh, because she's in this little minority-owned program is how you got here. That may be how you think I got there, but it certainly wouldn't keep me there. You have to do the work just like anybody else have to do the work. The government doesn't care that I'm black, white. They want me to do the work. But I face that all the time, especially when we won one of the contracts. The project manager, I'm telling the project manager what to say. But when I would say it to the government, because I'm me, they couldn't hear it. So you have to strategically play games with who you let speak and fall back because they can't. It is what it is. You just have to learn how to play that game.
Yeah. Wow.
And that's a constant, whether it's government contracting or just business. When we show up on the scene, we face that a lot. But you know what? Fall back. Let somebody else take the lead. And I just have to be, you're the owner, but you got to use common sense too.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of common sense that has to be used.
You don't need to be front and center all the time.
You do not. Just sit down and shut up, as your mom used to say.
Be humble. I'm the same way. It's just like,
Absolutely.
I can stand, I know my lane.
That's right.
So.
And I had to learn that. So, yeah.
Okay. What are some misconceptions that the public, people who've never been in government contracting, what are some misconceptions out there about government contracting?
Well, when you make it, people think it's sexy. It's almost like being Beyonce. People think, oh my God, I wish I could sing like that or perform like that. They don't see the grueling, practice hours that Beyonce has to do to keep that type of stamina. You just know, wow, she's beautiful and she's making all these millions of dollars. They don't see what took place behind the curtain for her to walk on that stage. And I think people think it's sexy. She did it. I'm real estate, not knowing the work that it takes to make something like this go. And that it's a misconception about government contract. I want to be a government contractor. It's a lot of work, payroll. You get graded on it. It's a lot of work, and I want people to understand that. You don't just walk up here and get to this moment. It's a lot of work, whether it's government contracting or anything, to be excellent. Look at Venus. Look at Tiger. Look at the people that they say Steph Curry shoots like hundreds of shots before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No one sees that. They just see him shooting that three-pointer. Oh, I
Yeah.
can. But you got to practice. Practice makes perfect. So you don't, whatever you do, whether it's government contracting or whatever.
And I'm a big basketball fan, and then I'm watching the playoffs, and I'm looking at Anthony Edwards, 22 years old, and he is just taking the NBA by storm.
Wow.
But the countless hours he's
That's
putting
right.
in, and it's just like, and he's humble,
Exactly.
very humble. And I can remember when I was a real estate closing attorney meeting you. I'm not gonna say the firm's name, but that was a government contract. That was a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
And people see, they just see the outward appearance. They don't see what goes behind the
That's
scenes.
exactly right.
It's a constant grind, and you got to stay on top of your
You
game
do.
to stay on top.
That's exactly right.
Wow.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
So everybody else is out for the summer, but you're not. The kids are getting ready to go out and go to the pool, but you're not. So people don't get to see. Sometimes you can't even take a break.
Yeah.
So it's a lot.
Yeah. Where do you get your inspiration from?
I think we've already talked about that. God, Jesus. Well, my parents were Christian too, so that's just been in me since I was a child. And my daddy told me when I was 9 years old, I asked him, well, Daddy, how you know God to do it? He said, because he's going to show you. So at that point, I was taking my dad's word for God. But now that I'm a woman,
Yes.
I get to see it for myself.
Yes.
So you're going to go through some things, and you're not going to be able to depend on your parents' faith or someone else's faith. God is going to try you. You're going to be tried and tested to know that He is the true living God. And that's where all of my inspiration comes from.
Do you have any mentors growing up, or who did you lean on? For instance, as a government contractor, did you have somebody you could, shoot your ideas off or go to and ask for advice?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir, I'm sorry. So Miss Paula Watts, she's someone that all of us have kind of gone through her class. Paula Watts, Stacy Mollison, Connie Watson. There are a lot of people that that have been in the same industry. They're 8A. There's woman-owned small businesses too. So if I get stuck or something like that, I can call one of them and ask them, and then YouTube and Google. So it's not like I'm ever stuck. You know what I mean?
YouTube University.
Yeah, do your research.
Yep. Absolutely. Man, that's all right. That is all right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Where do you see the USDA rural development? What are some emerging trends that you see them heading towards in the future?
Well, since we have this portfolio, I'm trying to propose ideas to them because we're dealing with a lot of shadow inventory, and you have 4,000 files that you say just foreclose on. You can't just foreclose on American people, especially when you're going through a political season right now, and most of these are rural properties, and say if it's 50 properties in one jurisdiction and you go start foreclosing, somebody's going to raise some sand about that. So you also have to use emotional intelligence with what we're doing. So I would like to do things like maybe a cash for keys program, maybe do a short sale, a deed in lieu, leave people off in a better, I know they haven't paid you, but it's just like a catch-22. You can't lose your soft spot for people. And by me being a woman of God, it's hard for me to sit back and just say, get them out of there. No, we need to use wisdom and figure out another approach. Yes, I know my contract says foreclose, but what else can we do? And we still get the same end result, a win-win for both parties.
And I'm sure they're taking your advice to heart, knowing that, you're helping them.
Yes.
You're running this contract.
Yes,
So.
absolutely. So we just won that second contract last year, so it's just now starting to unfold. The portfolio is now starting to move, and we're hearing the people calling and like, well, I lost my job, someone passed away. And mind you, shadow inventory, some of these people haven't paid a mortgage in like 7 years. So they think they got a free house.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a lot going on. So I'm like,
7 years?
we're getting all type of, I'm like, okay, so it's a lot going on.
And this was way before COVID, or I guess during.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So it's a lot going on. So I'm like, okay, how do we? It's just a lot going on, and I just can't lose my compassion, even though I have a job to do. So we can maybe bridge the gap with some other type of programs. Those are the type of ideas I want to bring to their attention.
Okay. What are some, for future holders of government contracts such as USDA, what do you hope for future holders of a contract of this magnitude once your reign is over?
Well, I want to clean up America, help clean up America, one government agency at a time, USDA, maybe circle back to HUD. By then, hopefully, I will have brought up other businesses such as myself so that I can just pass it on to another business. You know what I mean? Like you can joint venture team. I don't know if I would ever sit all the way down. Who knows? But other small businesses to come behind me and use your real estate experience to actually manage government properties, commercial properties, state properties. There are so many contracts outside of you just riding someone around in your car, and then they change their mind, their financing fall out, but your mortgages still do. I just want you to think outside the box. I'm not saying it from a position of I'm here now and a real estate agent can't help, small homeowners.
Exactly.
That is still my dream and my goal, and I promote home ownership. But at the end of the day, with everything Zillow and everybody else entering into our space, the recent lawsuit with NAR, where does that leave you as a business owner if all of these elements are affecting your industry? You have to think outside the box. So what else will you do with all of these things going on affecting our industry? And that's just how I'm like, I got to have multiple streams of income because if they play with me over here, I'll try to go over here. So that's just how I kind of think.
And could you touch on, let the listeners and the audience know that there are several government contracts out there, small ones,
Yes.
big ones. Just get in, get your certifications. That's the main thing.
Exactly.
Do your research. Could you expound upon that?
Yes, because I didn't start off federal. I started out bidding on stuff for the city of Atlanta. The city of Atlanta has a lot of real estate. DeKalb County has one I went after. So get your LSBE certification in DeKalb County. A lot of them, once you get one, they reciprocate in other counties. So if you get certified in the city of Atlanta, you can take those same documents, and now you have LSBE in DeKalb County and Clayton County. So, and I've gone after stuff for Clayton County. So there's some stuff here locally and in Georgia you can make millions of dollars on, just like you can in the federal space. So don't despise what's in your backyard. Look at that first before you go federal, and then play in all of the playgrounds.
Welcome to In the Hot Seat with WRP. I'm your host, Robert Worrell. The mission of our podcast is to inspire entrepreneurial thinking through engaging conversation. You can subscribe to our platform on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, various platforms under the handle WRP Law Group. Subscribe today. How do you continue to grow your brand, Breezy?
Whew, that is a work in progress. So I'm always thinking ahead too. So basically now I wanted to start doing training. I don't know if I get bored or I don't know where these ideas come from, but actually I've wrote some courses. One of them is called Take It to Another Level, and it's CE, and it's approved through the Georgia Real Estate Commission. So now I want to host classes. We just bought our building, and so we're knocking down one of the rooms and changing it into a classroom. And so from there, that's why I need this big marketing person. Then I want to take that training global and do like a global classroom, because I understand that there's a disconnect between how you go from being this agent or broker to building your business. I continue to go to like SBA classes. Goldman Sachs had a small business class. So I'm always learning and going to cohorts, Morehouse. I may be in 3 different classes at one time because my brain has to, I don't know what that is, but I just love to keep learning so I can keep growing. So I just continue to learn and grow. And as I learn and grow and learn new things, I want to implement that into my brand. So additional streams of income. Now that Dawson's is here, everyone pretty much knows who we are. When we go to 5-Star, people want to take this training, and I wasn't prepared for that. Like, we partnered with 5-Star, the conference, and we had like 300 or 400 agents in the room wanting to take our training. I'm like, wow. So that's amazing. So now I need to monetize that or figure out how to do that, even if I'm not at 5-Star, because Dawson's, it's our training that they want. And just, it's a mindset that has to come with growth too. I'm not this little girl anymore that grew up down the street. Now I'm like a brand, and now you have to walk into that boldness and not, you know what I mean? So now God is trying to tell me, stand up, you deserve this moment. You deserve to be here just like anybody else. So create this training, and it's gonna grow, and it's gonna be a global training.
Wow.
And I'm speaking that today because I know it's gonna happen.
So you always on the go.
And that's just part of, for me, it don't even feel like work. It has to come out some type of way.
Does it seem real that you're doing all of this? Or you're just dreaming?
I think it is. I know it's real because my daddy told me as a child too, you're going to have your own business one day. And he put that in me and made me prepare and read for it. So the habits that I developed as a child, it didn't go away because I became an adult. Now it just has supersized itself because he put that in me early. We would get whippings if we didn't do the homework. When he came home, what's your timetables? If he told me to learn 9 times, if he came home with that belt, 9 times 1 is 9, 9 times 2 is 18. All he had to do was show it to me.
Yeah.
But he put that in us, like King Richard. My dad reminds me of King Richard. He prepared me.
And you said habits. He instilled habits.
Yes.
I see a lot of kids today, they don't have the habits. They're not disciplined. I'm speaking for myself too. You know, I have 2 boys, 15 and 13 years old. And the oldest one can't tell them nothing. And it's like, when you get out here in the real world, your safe space is gone.
Exactly.
I said, you're going to be 16, son. I was like, you better get it.
Yeah.
I can't get out there and keep protecting you.
That's right.
And I see this so often. They know everything. And it's just, you know, knowing how to study. Just the small things. And even though a lot of these schools, they have laptops, to me, I'm old school. I have to write stuff down. When I'm still to this day, if I'm typing up something, I just can't I got to write it down and I go back and type it. that's just the way that my mind operates. And so you said habits. I mean, that is just so critical. And going to these conferences, constantly feeding your mind because the devil is out there.
Yes.
And
Yes.
you have to stay laser focused.
You do. And the competition is fierce. And like you said, you're at the top now. You're being hunted, and everybody wants their spot at the top. And I never clamored to be at the top. It's just that when you work in excellence, and God will do that, but that was never I'm working so people can notice me. I'm working to get the work done. So if you go in with that humility and not want to be everybody see me, I don't lead with that, never have. And I pray to God that I never get there. I think we're both familiar with what just happened to a recent artist, and I don't have to name his name, but it's so disheartening to know that all of that hard work now is going to be dismantled. And I don't want to say it's because of lack of pride, because I'm not him. I don't know why it happened, but just not losing focus on why did you get this moment? Why did you get this moment to be elevated in front of the world? What happened now that you have to be brought down? You know what I mean? And I'm so tired of seeing it happen to our brothers and sisters. What can we do better when we get to these moments not to do that or be that? But I would never judge anyone or speak harsh, because you never know why things happen. Or it could happen to you. So you have to be careful when you put your mouth on people too. But I just hate to see that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, like you said, it's disheartening.
Yeah.
It's very disheartening. Okay. How are you involved in the community, your local community and the online community?
Yeah. So locally, I do a lot with Empire Board of Realtors. They've been a trade association that I volunteered for. I served as first VP for like 3 years, and helped set up everything under Sharon Henry. So I try to do a lot of that. I try to just give back a lot to nonprofits. I spend a lot of time with the kids and the G babies, and just pouring into others that are less fortunate than myself. Like, I don't even get pleasure anymore going shopping for myself. Like, let's go get somebody else some furniture. Let's get somebody a house. Like, we were able to just bless somebody right now with a house. Like, I'm like, oh, God, I want to help me to bless a lot of people with a house.
Yeah.
So I feel like God gave me this opportunity with the USDA to be able to see land, and just people saying, I don't even want the house anymore. Take it. I'm like, you don't want the house. I'm like, wait a minute. There has to be some type of something there. You know what I mean? It's something there, and I have to figure out how to make this a win-win for everybody. People who need a house, it doesn't benefit the USDA to take the house. Can we put this person together before it even becomes a foreclosure? Just ideas where it can win. It can be a win for everybody. You have all of these homeless people, all of these assets that are boarded up. There is a disconnect. Why not try to bridge that gap between empty lots and land and people sleeping on the street? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. You're right. I mean, because it's on every corner. You see, this situation. It's just.
Yeah.
I mean, and age is not a requirement. I've seen kids, it's just all the way up to elderly people.
Yeah.
So
Everybody need a nice place to stay.
So, wow. To whom much is given, much is required.
Absolutely.
So you're
Yes.
obviously out there, I'm living, by that testament.
Yes, Lord.
So-
You're so right. It's a lot. It's a lot. I had a lady that called me the other day, a fellow agent. And again, once you make it to where I am, everybody's like, well, how do I get there? And she called me, and she had gone after an opportunity with one of the local, municipalities. I don't know if it was City of Atlanta, but she didn't win. And she sounds so heartbroken. And when I got off the phone, I just started crying. I'm like, well, why are you crying? But I was crying because I remember when I was her. So now there's you want it, and it hasn't happened. That middle, that gap here is the faith and the don't give up. And it's going to be your turn one day. So don't give up. But literally, I had to remind her, please don't give up. I know we make it look easy now because we've done it. But
Yes.
trust me, there was a chasm for me too
Yes.
in thinking that I couldn't do it. People not believing in me. So, to your audience today, don't give up. Keep going. If it were easy, everybody would be doing it. So it's a lot of hard work to respond to those opportunities and get the right team in place. I think some of us just make it look easy, but just know whatever you do, if you're going to excel to the top of that game, whether it's Beyonce, you, me, Tiger Woods, Steph Curry, you're going to have to put the work in. Steph make it look easy now that he can do that, but that was grueling hours of practice. You didn't just become an attorney. You had to pass a bar and study and
Yeah,
forego
man.
going out with your friends and
And a
Yeah.
number of times I had to take that darn thing too. So I mean, hey, but the thing is, I passed it.
absolutely.
Nobody ever asked me, "Oh, Robert, what was your score?" I passed it.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
That's exactly
And I
right.
tell people, that test is 2 days,
Mm.
2 full days. And I tell people, can you imagine sitting in a testing environment 8 hours for 2 days,
No.
then waiting 90 days for your results?
Oh my goodness. Oh no, that's a lot. That's grueling.
Yes, yes. And so, but what kept me going is if this person can do it,
So can I.
I can do it.
Amen.
Because when I went to school, my roommates, 3 of us are attorneys. And when I saw he can do it, I can do it.
Absolutely.
But it's just putting the time in. Putting the time in. You have to stay laser focused.
Yeah.
And
But you had a community. And that's what the cohorts and the classes continue to do. Once you get in a room with other people that are doing it, it's going to make you level up. So you have to go and rub against somebody else who's
Yeah.
doing what you're doing. Like you with Eagles now. So Eagles soar. So you have to be mindful of who you're surrounding yourself with and
can
continue
you say
to
that again?
you have to be mindful of who you're surrounding yourself with. Your roommates gave you the faith and you gave them the faith to keep going. Now y'all in it together. It's like energy. Sometimes there's an unspoken thing that's happening that you can't see and you can't, but it's there. So
Absolutely.
frequencies and you have to believe in frequencies and energy and stuff like that. I'm Christian, so I'm not talking about no woo stuff. I'm talking
Yes.
about there's a real frequency and energy that you must encompass and surround yourself with. If somebody's not right, you cannot come around me if you slacking because
Exactly.
now, no, I need excellence around me.
I don't need that negative energy.
I can't even function in
Can't
it.
deal with it. Can't deal with it. And you're so right. You know, so right on that. And that applies to everything that we do.
Absolutely.
Everything that we do.
Absolutely.
And people are looking at you, Breezy. Oh, she make it look so easy. And they don't know the number of times that you got knocked down.
I did.
But you kept going.
I
And you
did.
kept going.
I did.
And going. And it's just like look
Yes.
look at me now.
Yeah. In the city of Atlanta, back when I was going after the proposals, there you had to do like 8 copies of the same thing and hand deliver it in a big box by a certain time. Now I think they have a system where you can upload your proposal and it doesn't have to be 10 copies.
Yeah.
I'm like, I used to cry, printer, laser, going to Office Depot, putting this stuff together, sitting in the middle of the floor. But I'm here now.
And if you don't, and back then, if you didn't get it there at a certain time,
You just out.
Yeah.
You just wasted all the ink and energy for nothing. Imagine me flying down 20. And we wait to the last minute to get it in. So, but you know what? That was preparation.
so what advice would you give someone who came up to you, Breezy, and said, Breezy, I want to do what you do. I want to be in real estate. I want to get a government contract. What is the first thing you would tell them?
If you want to do what I do, you have to do what I did.
Wow. They say, well, what did you did? This is,
Preparation. They say success is when preparation meets opportunity. You don't just get to be successful, you have to prepare to be successful. So the classes, the cohorts, the training, and implementing or executing, that is the main thing. Like I send a lot of people to Miss Paula Watts' class. She used to work for the SBA. A lot of us have gone through her class. She said she's trained over 3,000 students. Maybe 100 of us are successful. Maybe. I'm not sure. Because it's not up to Miss Paula at this point. It's up to you,
Up to you.
to execute what she's already told you.
that's less than 5%.
Yeah, but her class is amazing. I learned so much, but I was already wanting it. I was hungry for it. So again, don't do what someone else is doing just because it looks sexy. Do it because that's your passion. Don't do government contracting because you think it's a lot of money over there and it's a lot of work too, as you alluded to earlier. So whatever you do, put the time in. Become excellent. Become a learner. Like if I'm at home working, and I work about 16 hours a day and I sleep the other part. I'm actually listening to a webinar, taking another class. It's so competitive over here, and these are $1 million deals. So you can't you got to know what you're doing. So it's always something for me to learn, And when we took Miss Paula class, we learned some of the pitfalls that they had already gone through. So learning from others' mistakes, so I don't have to make those mistakes. That's why you want to constantly be in somebody's classroom or learning at home, listening to something. Don't ever think you arrived. So if you come to me, I'm going to first point you to Miss Paula class. A lot of people want me to mentor them, but I have to set all of those things up. You know what I mean? So you asked me earlier about my business growing, and that's something that I want to do because it's a game changer. You're talking about making it's like more money.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
more money.
yeah.
So you have to prepare to even be able to receive that, to
Receive that.
know. So now I'm learning about trust and how to, shield yourself from all this mess. So a lot of
Yes.
things come with success.
Yes. I mean, it's almost like you're basically in another stratosphere.
Yes.
Like I said, this ain't no little play. This some big money.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I got some big decisions I need to
You
make.
do, and you can't just make them on a whim. You have to be educated before you move. Now you can't just move. No.
'Cause what about the tax implications?
Yes.
Taxes.
Exactly.
So now you're like, I have to think about taxes.
Everything.
And so, we don't pay taxes. Uncle Sam gonna get his.
Yes. So yeah. So it's a lot to learn at this level, but it's always new levels. You're always learning. So it's not like, oh, now I have to learn all this stuff. You're going to constantly be learning something, or you should be.
And I'm sure when people come up to you and say, Breezy, could you mentor me? And I know you already know in your head, just because you say that don't mean you want it.
Absolutely.
First of all, I want to see if you can follow directions. This is what I want you to do. A mentor, a mentee will evolve if they do the right thing.
But key word, they have to do the right thing. I can instill it in you, but do you want it enough to execute?
Absolutely. Absolutely. One valuable lesson that you've learned being at the top of this USDA rural development contract. What's one valuable lesson?
Well, I'll just say government contracting in general, not just the USDA, because we have a couple of contracts, not just the USDA, not to be overly confident. You can be confident, but don't be overly confident. Like I had a situation where we were trying to get this contract at one of the military bases, and I had responded to like an opportunity, and I guess it looked good enough. They invited me to come down. So I just thought I was going down to meet one person. I'm like, yes, I get to go down here. And when I got there were like 12 people in the room.
And you weren't expecting.
I was not prepared. Just confident because I had wrote that paper, but then it didn't prepare to go to the next level. So after it was over, the OSDBU, that's the Office of Special Disadvantaged Business Utilization guy, he's the one that helps small businesses get opportunities. And for some reason, I did not go through him to get there. I just responded to the paper, and they emailed me and told me to come. So after I blew that opportunity, he told me to come into my office. He said, how did you get down here? He said, you just blew an opportunity. He was so upset with me, but I didn't know. I was just going on the limited knowledge I had at the time. I learned in Miss Paula class, respond to these opportunities. You may get invited. I'm just thinking I was going to meet one person. I did not know they were calling me down there to give me the contract about what I had written about. I was able to write it on paper, but could I actually implement it or execute it? Oh my God, all I could do was stand there and try to remember what did I write 6 months ago that got me in the room, because I thought I was just going to meet the one person. And that's what I mean by being overly confident, making sure when they call you, you better make sure you got yourself together. I cried all the way back from there, but I said that would never happen to me again. So don't be prepared, but don't go all cocky. I don't know what I was thinking. I just, that would be the one lesson. Just make sure you're ready when they call you. That would be my one piece of advice.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So how has having government contracts impacted your life?
Yeah, I would probably have to say a lot in the sense of I'm more busy. And now I have to learn how to delegate, because coming from being a real estate agent, like I said, I could sell 100 houses by myself because I'm a worker bee. And literally, once they send the listings, we just put them in MLS. There's not a lot that goes on really after that. And now having to delegate something outside of myself and release that control to a team. So now you got a team around you, and you have to listen to what other people are thinking and saying, because you're not the lone bee, and it's other people that make this thing go. And that's just the biggest kind of adjustment, me working from kind of being an introvert to now it's forcing me to have meetings and talking to the government. And it's like, wow, like you are actually doing that all the way from right here in Georgia, from right down the street.
And I'm sure most of your meetings, via Zoom.
Yeah. But we're going to go. They're flying us out. The USDA. We get to go meet them again in person next month. They're flying us back out. So the government is inviting you to come and speak because now they deem you the subject matter expert. You moved our properties. We know you can do it. I want to know what you have to say. How you going to move these? So we have to be prepared for that. Again, I better make sure. See how God do it. You fell over here, but now you getting caught into a room again. Are you ready? So I'll be ready this time.
Wow. Always be prepared. I mean, you have to. You have to.
I'll be ready for
When
them
do
this
you
time.
when are they flying you out?
In June, sometimes in June. We'll have the definite dates probably in the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
So that's exciting. It's exciting.
What's been the most fulfilling aspect of this journey for you?
Well, when you have family members that don't quite have the work ethic that you do, and you're able to, don't even focus on that. Focus on the point that now you can be a blessing to them, because everybody is not wired the same way. Like I said, my dad had put a key ingredient in me as a child, but I have brothers who didn't really even finish high school or college, and now they're like, sis, I need this. I should be asking them for it, but they're asking me for it. So I try not to judge. We come from the same stock. One of my brothers, we have the same father, so he has the same exact information as I do, but he did not execute. So for me, it's like, well, now I get to buy all these things, and they see that God is working in my life. Come follow suit. You know what I mean? Come and help me. But it's fulfilling for me that I'm able to show an example that you can do it this way and not have to resort to the streets that we know we come from a certain environment. But that is not what I want for my life. God has shown me I can have this and I can do it right. I don't have to hook and crook. So just being that beacon of light for my family and hoping that one day, like my daughter just started working with me, and just hoping that one day I'm hiring other people, paying double digits a month. Why aren't you all over here helping me? And it hurts in one sense, but all I can do is just keep going. And so one day, hopefully, they'll come on board.
And I'm sure they realize you're not just going to be an ATM and just keep giving.
Exactly.
And that's what a lot of them think, shoot. Well,
Exactly.
Well, sis over here got it,
See, that's not fair to me.
It's not. It's not. I'm showing you a way.
I'm showing you
You don't
a
even
way.
want to capitalize on
Lord have mercy.
it. Man, that's crazy.
The work has already been put in. The stage is already set. I just need performers. And it's just a beautiful thing. Like I said, I have the car dealer's license. I still do the real estate. We do the government contracting. So I have multiple stages set. It's just like, do people want to come and help you build those things out?
When do you have time to do the car deals? Deal with that.
I have a guy to help me with it because I don't. Like all my licenses, that's what partnering with people come in at. I'll take 50% of something instead of trying to get 100%. Let's work together and make it happen. And that's what we do.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Multiple streams of income.
Yeah, it's just like Arthur Blank. Arthur Blank is not out there throwing the football, but he has so many people that's on his payroll that's making that game happen. He's not at the thing checking tickets, but he's still on it. So you got to learn how to delegate, and that's the part. When I came from being like just a solopreneur, I'm an entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur now, partnering with the right people, and all of these things can take place, and I get a piece of pie, a piece of money out of every single thing that's taking place.
And your kids are seeing that.
Yes, they see it. They are seeing
I
it.
want to do what mama's doing.
Well, they better come put their work in and help me hold this thing up.
Yeah, 'cause I'm not just going to give it to you.
No, I'm not.
So, okay. All right. Share with the audience and listeners a few memorable stories you've had on your journey, starting with, getting your real estate license all the way up to having a few government contracts, just a couple of them.
You're going to make me think about it. So ask me the question one more time. Let me
A
start.
few, we'll do a couple of memorable stories that you would like to share to the audience on your journey from getting your real estate license to getting a few government contracts.
Okay. All right. So I have a good story here. So basically, I was telling you earlier that we used to attend a lot of REO conferences. So there's one that we had gone to. And remember, once we figured out that we could sell 100 properties for just one asset management company, at the time it was HUD. So when you go to the REO conferences, there are a lot of bank-owned people there, like asset managers. And we would go to these conferences and try to chase the people down. Like if they go to the bathroom, we like, there they go, because we knew that they could give us listings. But have you ever heard that saying, love the crowd but hate the people? They want you to come to these conferences and spend your money, but they don't necessarily want you in their face asking for business. And me, with my keen discernment, we were about to chase this one asset manager, and the look that was on her face, I cannot describe it, but it stopped me in my tracks, and it literally made me weep. I told my girlfriend who was with me, I said, no. I said, don't chase her. I said, one day they're going to be chasing us. And God gave me that word, that moment. And look at me now. When we go to the conferences now, people are trying to work with us, and I'm like, he's changed it around. Like, and then now it's just, it's so beautiful how he did it. I now get to stand in line and shake 200 agents' hand and not show that same face, because I don't want no one to go home feeling like that moment made me feel.
Yeah.
The lady didn't mean to make me feel that way. She probably was tired, had already, you know what I mean? It was just stop, don't chase them, go create your own, so you don't ever have to feel like that anymore. So it's kind of twofold. That story for me triggered me to the point of where I am today. I don't want to have to ask a person for anything. I want to go get it myself. So I don't, and I'm mindful not to treat people like that. Or don't, even if I feel it, be mindful that someone is always reading my face, because now I'm here. So I have to be mindful of that.
And I'm sure your team that you have, they exhibit and carry that same type of attitude, you know, when they go to these conferences as well.
They do, because they understand how it made me feel, and I always tell my story. And another beautiful thing for me, I know how hard it is for African-American women to get these type of opportunities and contracts. Even when we sold those listings for HUD, that was a coveted position as a local listing broker. So now I make sure that people that look like me get some of those listings that we have. So I've just learned a lot from being on this side, transitioning to this side, and filling in that gap with emotional intelligence, making people feel like they belong in a room and you're just as smart as anyone else. That's kind of what I try to exude to people.
Okay. What's the most unusual task that you had to do under the USDA contract? When you first got it, what was one of the most unusual tasks that they wanted you to do?
Well, we kind of built out what the task looked like. So they'll just give you they were not as developed as HUD. I think on those HUD contracts, you know exactly what you're supposed to be doing. So we've kind of helped the USDA morph theirs, because they manage their own stuff in-house. So they have local hawks all over where they would actually give them out to the local agents. So this is like the first time that they've actually awarded a contract outside of themselves for someone to handle that. So we were able to do kind of like what we already do in our everyday lives and bring them that back, the solution to their problems. And I think we surprised them with being able to move those properties like that. I think they didn't think that we could do it, but this is what we do for real. So I've been doing it for 20 years. And Marcia Toms, you know, she works with PIMCO and HUD and so many others. So we were able to just lock forces, and our team moved it like racehorses.
And plus, you have veterans, people who've been in this arena. They know what they're doing.
They know what they're doing.
As opposed to just pulling somebody, you know, and trying to teach them.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's key right there too, Labrescia.
So it wasn't any really unusual task, just trying to get them to understand what we're facing out here. You being the government, you're not out here. So if I'm bringing you a solution, I'm giving it to you from the ground, not from you sitting up here. So, you know, just sometimes there's a disconnect, but we keep talking about it until we both agree.
Got you. Okay. Well, I'm getting ready to wrap this up, but I always ask my guests, I want you to give one hot seat moment, something embarrassing or an unusual moment that occurred in your real estate career, and how did you overcome it? An embarrassing situation.
Oh, my goodness.
It could be anything.
Lord,
Somebody put you on the spot, and you had to think you the real quick on your feet.
I don't know. Ooh, that's a good one. I would say not embarrassing, but I'm kind of like a hothead sometimes. I've had to learn over the years. And I have a friend named Sheila Coleman. And so sometimes we would get these REO listings, and they would call me and say stuff about what I'm supposed to be doing. And before I knew it, she said, give me the phone. Like, you would not be able to talk to people like this. And she just had to calm me down, because I'm like, I deserve to be here too. You don't get to call my phone and tell me what I'm gonna do with my listing. Like, just the audacity sometimes. Just, I've just had to grow into that thing because I told you I was from down the street.
Yeah.
So that right there is still in me. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So I
And you've learned how to
constantly-
suppress it, you know. But if you go there, it can come out.
So she has helped me, like, kind of grow into this business owner and not say everything I'm thinking. And I'm like, oh, Lord. So for me, those are the type of things I kind of have to deal with. Even now, if somebody called me, don't do that. So I'm a work in progress.
Okay. All right. So how can someone give your contact information to the audience, for your website, phone number? If someone needs to get in contact with you, how can they get in contact with you?
Yes, so I'm Ms. Dawson. The company website is dawsonsmanagement.com. We have our own private Facebook group for the USDA. We have about 3,000 brokers in there that we can pull on at any time. To join that group is free, and that Facebook group is USDA REO Broker Network. USDA REO Broker Network request to join, and we post all type of things in there, how to get other assets from other people. Again, these are the things I've learned over the journey that I know that a real estate agent who's trying to get into the business would want to know. We don't charge for that, and it's so everybody wants money. It's like I just try to be what I wanted to see when I was on the journey. So I just try to share that information back with agents. So, and if you want to get the listings, you can go to equator.com and create a profile there. And hopefully we'll be able to give you a listing one day. So thank you so much.
All right. And with that being said, we are out with In the Hot Seat with WRP with Breezy Dawson.